Hello everyone and welcome back to 5-Minute German. In today's video, we are going to learn about prepositions of direction in German A1. With these prepositions, you can make sentences like I am going to Frankfurt, or I go to the bakery, or even I am going home. This is the third most important type of prepositions which are included in German A1. We have already learned the prepositions of location and the prepositions of time. I will link the videos for these prepositions in the description below. You can go and check them out. After this video, I am sure that you will have no problems understanding or using the prepositions of direction in German. So now let's not waste any time and let's learn the prepositions for direction in German. So we will start by doing a quick recap about what are prepositions. Then we will take a look at the direction prepositions in German A1. And after that, I will give you some examples of how to use direction prepositions in sentences. So let's start with what are prepositions. So prepositions are words or group of words showing the relationship between things. Let's take the example. I go to school at 8 a.m. Now in this sentence, the word to tells us about the direction, that is, where am I going? And the word at tells about the time at which I have to go to school. So this is an example of a preposition for direction as well as time. There are other types of prepositions as well, such as preposition of location and so on. However, in German A1, the prepositions of location, time and direction are important. And as I already mentioned at the start, I have already made videos for prepositions of location and time. You can check them out from the description below. In this video, our focus will be on the third type of prepositions, which are the prepositions of direction, or Richtungspräpositionen as they are called in German. So what are Richtungspräpositionen? These prepositions show the relationship with direction and they answer the question of wohin, which means where to. In German A1, there are 6 types of Richtungspräpositionen. The first one is Nach, which means to or towards. Then we have zu, which means to or at. After that we have an, vorbei, which means to pass by something. Then we have in, which means in or inside. After that we have durch, which means through. And the last one is über, which means across. And these 6 prepositions can be separated into 3 parts. So the prepositions zu and an, vorbei are dative prepositions, which means that they are followed by a dative article or pronoun. The prepositions in, durch and über are accusative prepositions, which means that they are followed by a accusative article or pronoun when they are used for talking about direction. And in case of nach, we don't use any article because it is mostly used with proper nouns or names. And we will see some examples to understand this better. So before we start with these prepositions, let's do a quick recap of the articles in accusative and dative. So we know that the definite article or bestimmte article in accusative are den for masculine, die for feminine, das for neutral, and die for plural. The unbestimmte or indefinite articles are einen, eine, and ein for masculine, feminine, and neutral. In case of dative, the definite articles are dem for masculine, der for feminine, dem for neutral, and den for plural. And the unbestimmte or indefinite articles are einem for masculine, einer for feminine, and einem for neutral. So these are the 6 Richtungspräpositionen in A1. So let's start with the first one, which is nach, which means to or towards. And it is used for cities, countries, or direction. So if somebody asks you, wohin gehst du? Where are you going? And if you are going to Frankfurt, which is a city, then you can say, ich gehe nach Frankfurt. I am going to Frankfurt. So you see, we have used nach over here to tell that we are going to Frankfurt. It can be any other city as well, such as Berlin, Stuttgart, etc. Let's take an example with a country. So if somebody asks, wohin fliegt ihr? Where are you all flying to? Then you can say, wir fliegen nach Italien. We are flying to Italy. So again, we have used nach because we are going to a country. But an important point over here is that we use nach only with countries which don't have an article. So countries like Deutschland, Indian, Frankreich, which is France, and so on, don't have any article before them. So we will use nach for countries which have an article before them, we use another preposition which we will also learn in this video. Now, if we are talking about direction, such as I go to the left, then we will also use nach. So you will say ich gehe nach links, I go to the left. And you can also say ich fahre nach Osten, which means I am driving towards east. So with the compass directions, you also use nach. This can be Süden, Northern or Western as well. Now there is another special use of nach as well, and that is when you are going towards a house. So for example, this is your house and you go towards it. Then you will say ich gehe nach Hause, I am going home. So if you are going towards a house, then you will always use nach. So this is a special case which you should keep in mind. So this was nach. The next Richtungspräposition is zu, which is a dative preposition, and it is used for local places or when you are going to places which are inside a city. For example, you have this bakery shop and you are going to this bakery shop. Then you can say ich gehe zu der Bäckerei, I am going to the bakery, and you will not use nach in this case. And because Bäckerei is die Bäckerei, so you will use der Bäckerei, which is the definite feminine article in dative. You can also write this sentence as ich gehe zur Bäckerei, because zur is the combination of zu and der. So this is a short form, which is also commonly used in speaking. Let's take another example. So if you are going to the Bahnhof or train station, then you will again use zu, and the sentence will be ich gehe zu dem Bahnhof, I am going to the train station. And Bahnhof is der Bahnhof, that's why we use dem Bahnhof. And this can also be shortened to ich gehe zum Bahnhof, which also means the same. And this is because zum is the combination of zu and dem. Now if you are going to some famous place which is inside the city, such as the Eiffel Tower, which is in Paris, then you will also use zu with them. So if you are going to the Eiffel Tower, then you can say ich gehe zu dem Eiffelturm, I am going to the Eiffel Tower. Now we also use zu when we are going to a person. So for example, if you have to go to the doctor, then you can say ich gehe zum Arzt, I am going to the doctor. And we used zum over here because zum is the combination of zu and dem. Zu can also be used in a question. So for example, you can ask your friend, kommst du zu mir? Are you coming to my place? And mir over here is the personal pronoun in dative. And you can answer this by saying, nein, ich gehe zu den Großeltern, I am going to the grandparents. And we use den over here because Großeltern is die Großeltern, which is a plural form. So this is how you can use zu when you are going to a person. And a special case where zu is used is when you want to say at home. So for example, if you say ich bin zu Hause, then this means I am at home. So in this case, there is no movement, but you still use zu. So you should keep this in mind that when you have to say at home, you will say zu Hause. So this was zu. The next preposition is an and vorbei. And this is used when we pass by something. So for example, we have this university and you are walking on the street in front of the university. And you don't go inside the university, rather you pass by the university. Then you will use an and vorbei. So let's see how we can say this example in German. So you can say, ich laufe an der Universität vorbei. I walk past the university. And we see that in this sentence, der Universität is the thing which you are passing by, and because it is die Universität, that's why we use the dative form which is der Universität over here. And an comes before the thing which you are passing, and vorbei comes after the thing which you are passing. Let's take another example. So we have this museum and there are these people who pass by the museum. Then we can say, wir laufen an einem Museum vorbei. We walk past a museum. And over here, again, we have an, then we have the thing which we are passing by, a museum, and vorbei comes after it. Now, if we wanted to say we walk past the museum, then we would say wir laufen an dem Museum vorbei. And this can be shortened to wir laufen am Museum vorbei, because is the combination of an and dem. So this is how you use an and vorbei. Now we go to the accusative prepositions. So the first one is in, which means in or inside. So suppose you have this park and you go inside the park. Then we will use in. So in German this will be ich gehe in den Park. I am going inside the park. And because park is their park, so we use the masculine definite article in accusative, which is den. Similarly, if you want to go and see a movie, then you will say wir gehen in das Kino. We are going inside the cinema. And you see over here we have used in das Kino because Kino is neutral and the article for neutral remains thus in accusative. And you can shorten this to wir gehen ins Kino because ins is the combination of in and das. Now you might be asking, what is the difference between in and zu? Why can't we say ich gehe zum Kino? I am going to the cinema. So in German there's a small difference between in and zu when they are used for direction. So when we use zu, this does not mean that we are going inside the cinema. This can mean that we are going to a cinema where we are just going to meet our friend and we might not go inside. So this is a small difference between in and zu. Another use for in is that it is used for countries with articles. So as I mentioned when we were learning Nach, that we only use Nach with countries which don't have an article. So for countries such as die Schweiz, die Türkei, die Vereinigten Staaten, which have articles, we will use in. So a sentence will be wir fahren in die Schweiz. We are driving into Switzerland. And because there is movement, that is we are driving. So that's why we use the accusative form of the articles, which in this case remains the same. So this was the preposition in. The next preposition is durch, which means through, and it is used when we go through something. For example, we have this tunnel with the entrance and the exit, and this is a person who goes through the entrance and comes out of the exit. Then we will say that this person went through the tunnel. And in German we can say ich fahre durch den Tunnel. I drive through the tunnel. And because tunnel is masculine, that's why we use den Tunnel. Similarly, if you are walking through a park, which means you enter from one side and go out from the other side, then you will also use durch. And you can say ich gehe durch den Park. I go through the park. And again we use den because park is their park. So this was the preposition durch. And the last preposition that we have is über, which means across. So let's understand this with an example. So suppose you have this bridge and you use this bridge to go to the other side. Then you don't say I go through the bridge or I go past the bridge. Rather, you say I go across the bridge. And in German you can say this as ich laufe über die Brücke. I walk across the bridge. And because Brücke is die Brücke, that's why the article remains the same in accusative. Let's take another example. So suppose you have this street and you go from one side of the street to the other. Then you will also use über and you will say ich gehe über die Straße. I go across the street. So you go from one side of the street to the other. So this was über. And with this, we are done with the Richtungspräpositionen. And now we have covered all the different types of prepositions which are included in German A1. So this is a great job from you guys as well who have taken the time to watch these videos and understand these prepositions. Now you should go and try to make sentences on your own and also search for examples on the internet so that you can see in which different cases we use these different prepositions so that you don't forget. So I hope that this video was helpful for you. As always, if you have any questions or any feedback, please let me know in the comments below. Thank you very much for your time and see you guys in the next video.